What's up guys, I'm randomfrankp. Today we're going to be checking out the top 5 gaming keyboards from 2023 with some honorable mentions as well, highlighting some of the best releases that came out this year. Everything we show off we listed for you in the description down below, so you can check them out if you're looking to upgrade for the holiday season, maybe some good gift ideas for somebody, and with Black Friday and Cyber Monday going on, should be a lot of sales as well. Now, for each of the keyboards we go over, we'll do a general feature overview for each one as we introduce them, but I'll save the giant sound test and the typing test for at the end of the video where we'll have them all stacked back to back to back so you can hear how they sound with their build and their specific switches. Let's kick this one off. So our first honorable mention is the Corsair K70 Core. One of the few big name full-size gaming keyboards that drop in 2023, with the market moving to smaller layouts. This one also incredibly affordable at under $70 on sale for the holidays. With a plastic body secured by an aluminum top plate, the K70 Core doesn't feel flimsy or cheap, and I like the slim bezels all around the board, which help make it less bulky on the desktop. On the top right side, we have their masterful media controller, as Corsair calls it, just a name for a dial that can be configured in iQ, although it's a volume controller by default. It clicks in for a third command as well, or for muting your audio. And there's a bonus iQ button right next to that, which can also be programmed for media control or bringing up software, launching a game, whatever you want it to be. Keycaps here are a shine-through ABS double shot set that do leave more to be desired personally. They have a slight texture, but I feel like the font is just too large here on the keycaps, like it's your grandparents' jitterbug. But one of the more redeeming factors to this board are their new switches inside. Corsair finally ditched Cherry and went with their very own custom lubed MLX linear switch. It's a 45 gram linear that actuates at 1.9 millimeters with a 4 millimeter keystroke, and the feel of these is actually really nice and smooth, also helped out by 2 layers of internal dampening foam that Corsair has finally started to implement. Remember, I'll do the sound test for these keyboards at the end of the video so we're not breaking it up each time. But really, nothing too crazy here, hence the honorable mention slot. But I really like the brand new lubed linear switch that they have. And for anybody needing a full-size keyboard for just around under $70, it's definitely a pretty good pickup. Also worthy of an honorable mention today is a new keyboard from iQunix. This is their 1+1, and I'm including this because they're like the one company out there that has continually been blending that line between customs and a pre-built gaming keyboard. And over the last few years, their keyboards have only been getting better and better. It blows me away every single time. This 1+1 is a custom kit, and I really dig the way it looks with the TKL layout consisting of 7 individual metal parts here. This thing has some serious heft to it, tipping my scales at 4 pounds. Inside are dual 2000 mAh batteries. It can be used wired, wireless with their 2.4 GHz dongle, and lasts 3,000 hours over Bluetooth. You do have a bunch of crazy RGB effects with their hot swap PCB, so you can use any switch type you want with these. Although adding to the hype, you can pick up their very own Moonstone switch, which is just wild. They are super smooth and creamy, they're pre-lubed as well. And with the board's 4 layers of internal dampening, it gives a really nice deep sound profile. I absolutely love these switches. The PCB is also gasket mount with the rubber gaskets to reduce any ping inside, which gives us a really nice pleasant feel when typing or gaming. It is pricey, as this kit starts around $350, but wireless TKL customs are very hard to come by, so it's a premium price, but it's a premium keyboard that delivers a premium experience. Now that's ultimately the reason why I decided to put this in the honorable mentions, is because it's not cheap and it is a kit you have to build. This is not a pre-built gaming keyboard, but iQunix has been doing some fantastic stuff in the gaming keyboard scene and just keyboard scene in general. And if you go on the product page, you'll see the group buy for this ended last month, but they're not one of those companies that makes you wait 3 years for a keyboard. They said this will be in stock in just a few short weeks. Now, officially starting off the top 5, this spot has to go to Razer with their Blackwidow V4 Pro, a full-size keyboard with a top aluminum plate and some additional physical features that make the added footprint worthwhile, including a super nice detachable wrist rest with continuous chroma lighting synced along the sides for some extra glow. On the top right side, you have your typical multimedia keys. These buttons are dedicated back, forward, pause buttons for playback with a mute button on the right side and a nice knurled volume wheel right above that, which sits pretty uniform with the body. Then where it gets really interesting is over on the left side of the board. Here up top, you have another wheel known as their control dial for a bunch of macros. And speaking of which, not only do we have 5 dedicated macro keys running down the side of the board as M1 through 5, but you have 3 more macros integrated on the left side of the board. All of these dials and macros can be customized in Synapse to be whatever you want, including integrations with like Photoshop or apps you frequently use, for example, which just really allows you to have ultimate functionality, especially when combined with those bonus 3 left side buttons. These can be set as like hypershift buttons or layer switching. The world is your oyster. Then on the back side, you have removable USB-C cables, 2 of them, in fact. One is needed to power the keyboard, obviously, and the other acts as a pass-through for plugging something into that USB port. Keycaps here are double shot ABS. I really like the way that Razer does their key sets because they're a thicker ABS material and the keycaps themselves have a nice slight texture on them to avoid fingerprints, and the font is clean while also allowing even shine through at the same time, something a lot of companies miss on. As for their switches, they do offer this keyboard with their clicky Razer green or their linear yellow switch, which I have here, and these are very similar to that of a Speed silver switch. They actuate at 1.2 millimeters at 45 grams with a total travel distance of 3.5 millimeters. They're rated for 100 million clicks and do have some internal dampening to further mute the overall sound. So while I'm not a fan of full-size keyboards, I realize there is a market for some people out there who do need the extra keys and the numpad still. And this one by far has the most functionality I've seen this year in terms of all the extra bells and whistles, dials and macros. This really is the macro king of gaming keyboards from 2023, and this comes in at $230. So next up at number 4, we have the SteelSeries Apex Pro Mini. And with this brand new 2023 update, like the ever so popular Wooting 60HE, the SteelSeries gave us the Rapid Trigger update with their OmniPoint 2.0 switches. So this update applies to most of their Apex Pro lineup, including the TKL and both wired and wireless versions of this keyboard. But since the 60% layout is so closely resembling the Wooting, and judging by popularity, a rapid trigger 60% keyboard is all the rage this year, so this takes the number 4 spot for sure. Taking a closer look, you have nice and thick PBT keycaps that are lightly textured, with the keyboard's secondary functions and sub-legends printed on the front of the keycaps. Again, with a 60%, you do lose out on physical keys, but they can still be accessed. Arrow keys, for example, can still be used despite not being on the keyboard. And the RGB inside glows nice and bright evenly throughout the entire board. But checking out their OmniPoint 2.0 switches, the good stuff, we have the clear top shell with the milky white stem that allows for a 20 times faster actuation than most traditional key switches, while giving you crazy control over your keystrokes. You have 40 layers of per key actuations, adjustable from 0.1 millimeters all the way up to 4 millimeters. So it's all adjustable in steps of 0.1, and each key can be 2 functions in one. An example would be for WASD. A light touch would be walking in-game, while a deep press would be sprinting, without needing to also press shift to run, like in most games. Again, each key can have 2 functions to 1 key depending on how hard you press. It's that added extra functionality that really elevates the gaming experience. All that while combining the new update of the Rapid Trigger that lets you activate and deactivate a key repeatedly without needing to bottom out or reset the switch. It'll take time to learn how to properly take advantage of this, but it just lets you be faster and more precise in game. SteelSeries also released a new Ghost version, which I'm really digging. It's a transparent casing to the keyboard with these white pudding keycaps that really lets the RGB come to life now. It looks wild. I really like the Ghost colorway, and I added our Control-T Keys collaboration Ice Caps to this, and it matches perfectly. The keycaps are a 160 key transparent keycap set that has this topographic pattern spanning across its entire design, so the RGB just looks wild with this combo now. There's only a few days left to order these, and they're only $50. I'll drop the link down below, but 160 keys to fit any keyboard layout you may have, all for that price, is unheard of. So go support your boy. It'd mean a lot to me if you did. Available only until December 3rd, so don't miss out. Now at number 3, we have the iQunix Zonex 75, a hefty, all aluminum 75% wireless keyboard that is hands down one of my personal favorites of the year. Like I was saying before, they just keep making better keyboards, and the Zonex 75 is a perfect blend of simplicity and functionality, combining a really clean aesthetic with the function of a personal favorite 75% layout that features the arrow keys cluster and a dedicated media knob. The ZX75 is made of full aluminum, like I said, so it's really nice. I have it here in this light blue and white Alice colorway, although as a kit, they actually made this in a ton of different colors, so you should be able to match this to your setup's theme, having no issues at all. I love seeing how many color options they actually made. That's very rare. So with this 81 key layout, you get the additional function row and the clustered arrow keys still, which is great, but you also have that volume knob. Stock, this is just that for adjusting your audio, but can also do things like pause video playback as well, and it's configurable in their software if you want to set it to like zooming or scrolling or something. Again, as a kit, you will need to get your own keycaps and switches, which they do have available, and their PPT keycaps are available in matching colorways to the board of your choice. They're not shine through though, as most like GMK equivalent sets aren't either, since it's more geared towards the custom scene, so I don't mind that one bit. The RGB is still very visible between the keys. And like the 1+1 board, I did pick up their Moonstone switches again, although for gamers they make a Moonstone Turbo switch, which is also lubed, equally as smooth, but it's faster. It actuates at the 3.1mm mark with a 3.7mm total travel distance. So just 0.9mm to get these things to register at 45 grams. Easily one of the best switches I've tried. I'm not just blowing smoke. You'll hear how these sound during the sound tests. They also benefit from the gasket mounting inside with the 3 layers of foam, really making a gamer's dream for anyone wanting a premium keyboard unlike the rest. Winding down at number 2 is one of the first keyboards that came out in 2023. That's the ASUS ROG Azoth, a wireless 75% keyboard that also blends the line between gaming and customs, as ASUS puts their best foot forward, letting users mod this keyboard. This all silver and white version came out recently, and I have an emerald keycap set with white legends that I knew would really pop on this board, so that's one personal change I made to these since it's one that I use personally for a while, and there's so much to like. First, one killer feature is the OLED display and the trigger that lets you change up everything on your board and PC. You could switch tracks, adjust volume, press the rocker in to switch RGB modes and brightness. It is definitely a nice feature just to switch things up on the fly like that. And the OLED screen itself can display GIFs in addition to telling you, like what mode you're on and what your remaining battery life is to the keyboard if you do use this wirelessly. You can also use the screen to display like system info or act as an audio visualizer, all really cool stuff. Definitely a nifty bonus to the 75% layout, which I really appreciate. Now, as a modular keyboard, the PCB is hot swap, 5-pin north-facing hot swap as well. And while I have their NX Snow switches, you can put any switch you like inside. The Snows are linear and a self-lubricating palm material, actuating at 1.5mm with a 3.6mm total travel distance. They sound good, they feel good, and coupled up with the 3 layers of internal dampening foam inside, plus being gasket mounted, it is great to see ASUS take a page out of the custom scenes and make a killer pre-built gaming keyboard that has all the means to be customized. For around $200, it is a fantastic keyboard. I just really love what ASUS did here with the 2023 release of their ROG Azoth. And again, the fact that these big name gaming companies are starting to get more into the custom scene is just really cool to see. And what's also really cool is they even included a custom lubing kit, so you could lube your own switches. It just goes to show the ASUS is taking this direction seriously, and I love that. Now I want to toss it over to Near Lucid for his take on the Azoth, because he has a really great keyboard channel where he builds a lot of customs, but he picked this keyboard up. So I want to hear what he thinks about a pre-built gaming keyboard that can be customized.
My background is in custom keyboards, so what I expect obviously differs quite a bit from the average gamer or desk setup enthusiast. But I got the chance to review the ROG Azoth, a semi-custom offering from ASUS. So it's got a pretty decent spec sheet overall for both a gaming and custom keyboard. Some things it brings over from the custom keyboard realm include tons of foams and silicone so you can fine tune your sound profile, silicone gasket mounting for a softer feel and more interesting sound profile, and supplies to lube switches yourself. Also, some really nice stuff that's just general to any keyboard include the ability to use it through Bluetooth, 2.4G wireless, or just wired, and also an OLED screen and multi-input knob. It comes with a great sounding pre-built configuration with switches and stabilizers that both come lubed right out of the box. It's obviously not perfect from a modding perspective. I really wish you got to choose the switch plate material, which would help with fine-tuning the sound and feel. But with all things considered, the Azoth is a great option for a pre-built keyboard that delivers a solid modding experience.
So shout out to Near Lucid, not having plate options is valid feedback for sure, but with this being a mass-produced keyboard from ASUS, and it's really their first sort of step into that customizable modular keyboard world, I think it's understandable, especially at $200. Like, well, it launched at $250 beginning of the year. It's on sale for now for $200, but yeah, really great first modular keyboard from them. Now, for my number one spot, that's gotta go to the new Razer Blackwidow V4 75%. A brand new layout with brand new features, like a hot swap PCB, features their brand new Gen 3 orange loop tactile switches, and a bunch of internal mods to make this feel and sound better than any Razer keyboard in the past. Diving right in, like I just said, for the first time ever on a Razer keyboard, you have the ability to swap out switches. And sure, while that's been a common thing for a while now on other keyboards, this now brings the most customization we've ever seen from Razer. So if you don't like their new redesigned orange tactiles, you can just use your own with their 5-pin north-facing PCB. And taking a closer look, these new Gen 3 tactiles have a 3.5mm travel distance, they actuate at 2mm with 50 grams, they're rated for 100 million click lifespan durability, and for a tactile, they're actually pretty smooth. Razer does factory lube them along with the stabilizers in this board, but with a very small amount just on the bottom of the stem for when it bottoms out, as well as the bottom of the pole. While tactile is an interesting choice for being the only stock option on this board, I think they did a really good job with the feel and how pronounced the bump is while still remaining very smooth and quiet. Now I say all that to say this, Razer very clearly has been listening to community feedback in an attempt to keep up with the modding trends. To improve the feel and sound profile of the board to make these tactiles really pop, inside if you take a look at the PCB, you'll see it has tape on it. They actually included a stock Tempest tape mod with their own sort of take on the community favorite tape mod here. Very, very cool, and it doesn't end there. Razer also has a layer of foam sandwiched between the top plate and the PCB, and these pour-on gasket strips on the top and bottom sides of the PCB, because we also have another first from Razer in their lineup of gaming keyboards, with this being gasket mounted, letting them provide a nice cushion to your gaming and typing experience. So with all those firsts out of the way, for a 75%, it's very compact, and it follows the design language of their previous Blackwidow V3 Mini Hyperspeed. And I'm really happy to see them go with the compact 75 layout versus a scattered or exploded layout. Like you'll see in other 75% boards like the Azoth we just showed, where the arrow keys are offset. Here it's compact. Keycaps are a double-shot ABS plastic, so not PBT, but they are finely textured to avoid picking up smudging or fingerprint marks. And again, versus other gaming keyboards out there, I appreciate Razer's clean font choice. On the top right side of the board, you have some extra controls with a knurled volume dial and two buttons below it. One being a multimedia button, and the right one is a mute button. The mute has a red ring to show you visually when you are muting your system. The left multimedia key can be double or triple tapped to skip tracks or rewind. And the wheel has these nice tactile steps to it, but oddly does not actuate in. Then there's an LED strip on each side of the board for some extra chroma lighting on your desktop. And then lastly, the leatherette wrist rest is definitely a nice touch. I also appreciate the fact that it's magnetic, so it can hold in place. I'd say it has ample cushioning as well, nice and pillowy to the touch. Then as a bonus for the gamers out there, this is capable of an 8K Hz polling rate. Since it's wired, it has that advantage of being faster and reporting to your PC 8 times faster than a standard 1K Hz keyboard. And you know, for me, you add up all the internal modifications to make these switches sound and feel as good as possible for a tactile. You keep a small footprint and my favorite 75% layout, while still providing the multimedia buttons and a dial, and the fact that it launched at $190, which is $60 cheaper than the ASUS equivalent. That's what gives it the edge to me. So listen, if you need wireless, go ASUS. If not, Razer is equally as good with all the same features, minus the OLED screen, of course. You have the advantage of the 8K Hz polling rate for $60 cheaper, which was ultimately the deciding factor. Launching at $190 versus $250 for the ASUS, Again, like I was saying, it is $60 off now, so they're very equally competitively priced given the current holiday sales and stuff. But regardless, whatever one you go with between these two, you're not going to regret it. They are both really good gaming keyboards, deserving that #1 spot. Now, for that big ol' sound test, you can finally hear how all these switches sound. These are all completely stock, no further internal modifications or no further lubing was done. The only real changes that I've made are in like 2 cases where I switch up the keycaps. But yes, other than that, all stock. Let's listen up. So alright guys, a bit of a long one, but hope you enjoyed the top 5 gaming keyboards of 2023, showing you some of the best that came out this year, and of course some additional honorable mentions as well, to give you, a good list to pick from depending on what you're looking for, different layouts, all different features. Really hope that you appreciate this and it does help you make a new purchase decision if you're looking to upgrade your gaming keyboard. They'll all be listed for you in the description down below, so you can check them out. Odds are, like I've been saying, they're probably on sale with the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales going on right now. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. Leave a big thumbs up to show your support. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.